We call ketamine Metis because Metis is the goddess of wisdom. This is not simply a drug, it's an experience, and it has a consciousness with it. And that's the calling that I think I'm being led to, is to help others to experience what that consciousness is. So I'm here to answer a calling and to offer myself and Metis as a way to help improve lives. I think the term wounded healer is certainly applicable to my journey, but it has not come from a pejorative view. It is not me coming down to you and offering you something. It is me working with you, with something working through me that I think is the most important aspect of what we're doing here. Ketamine's a dissociative, which means a medication that makes you unaware of consciousness. So it's an anesthetic agent. So it puts you out, but not out to the degree that you lose consciousness. You're aware of where you are. But it's a dissociative anesthetic that was actually developed for Vietnam, because a person that was wounded, of course, is bleeding. There's problems with the heart, with the lungs. So the buddy injects the medication. The person goes out enough to get transported to the hospital, and 20 minutes later they wake up with no side effects, at least from the medication itself. So that's where it was developed for the battlefields of Vietnam. What they noticed was that with several of the people, when they were coming back out of the experience, that they had a psychedelic experience, and they thought that that was a bad side effect. What they began to find, though, later on in the 80s and 90s was that it was actually the psychedelic experience that seemed to help depression. And that's how they began to study it in the early 1990s. Stan Groff and the physicians, psychiatrists, psychologists that were studying this type of thing began to see that it had marked improvement, not only for depression, but also for PTSD and anxiety, and suicidality as a completely separate issue. But the bottom line is it's a simple dissociative anesthetic that's been around and in use in a lot of different venues, including the battlefield, for almost 50 years now. So there's a narrow range that we're finding that I'm familiar with that we give to people to help them to have the experience that is a psychedelic experience, and that is the teacher. That's the healer. It's not anything that I do. It's not anything that anyone else does. It's that something else does. And that is the thing that offers the healing and the almost immediate improvement of depression, anxiety, and PTSD. Sheila Rising stands really outside of allopathic paradigm. We're offering something that not many allopaths are perhaps aware of, but more than anything, this is not a usual method for treating depression, anxiety, PTSD, or suicidality. For the last 30 years, we've really depended upon SSRIs, which is a type of drug that alters the neurotransmitters that we have, which affect the way that we feel. And what we do know is that only about 40% who have ever tried that type of medication have some improvement in their symptoms of depression. So what we're talking about is that we live in an age in which anxiety is a pandemic. Depression is a pandemic. And this is something that allopathic medicine, which I've been involved with now for over 35 years, simply doesn't have an answer. Metis, ketamine, is a different approach to this. It doesn't work simply in the neurotransmitter pathways that they are using for treatment of depression or anxiety. It's a more diffuse activity over more pathways, and they're not singular, they're multiple. So that The multiplicity of pathways seems to make the most difference. And again, this is built into the medication. This is built into the Metis experience. So I want to close all of this by saying that nothing in the universe seems to happen by accident. There's no accident that you're watching this and hearing my voice. And there's no accident that what you've suffered has what effect it's had in your life. There's been a purpose to it. And I'm here to help offer something that may help you in your own mental health to have more joy and to have more life. That's what I'm here to do, is try to help you in your own journey.